Hi, Paul. How are you doing? Thank you for being on the podcast.
Well, thank you so much, Adam. I really appreciate the time that you're giving me on your podcast. I'm excited to talk with you.
Yeah, no, you're very welcome. I'm really grateful and humbled to, have you on, and I really appreciate you approaching me.
Yeah, no, I followed you on LinkedIn. I liked a lot of your stuff, and I thought, wow, maybe I could have the opportunity to talk with you on the podcast.
Yeah, no, that's really great, and I really, really appreciate it. And I find your story really inspiring. Do you mind sharing it?
Absolutely. Well, my story actually started right at birth. I suffer from what's called cerebral palsy, and if your viewers don't know what that is, it's lack of oxygen to the brain at labor. And as a result of that disease, it causes paralyzation on one side of the body. It could cause paralyzation on one side of the body, poor motor skills, and can affect your speech, and it's a permanent thing. And apparently, the doctors thought it was so severe that I would never be able to walk. Well, thank goodness for a great mom. She didn't take that diagnosis and just go with it. She got a second, third, fourth, fifth opinion, finally found somebody that was willing to help me out. And that's kind of my start of my intense journey of physical therapy. And I got my first break when I was 3. I was actually able to walk. So I was able to defy the doctor saying that I wasn't going to be able to walk. And that was my first big feat. Now, at 3, I really don't remember that. But I do remember being 5 and put into soccer and only being able to run, 25, 50 yards when these other kids are running laps and feeling so defeated. Like, man, I just wish I was one of these other kids, but I just wasn't. And having my dad tell the coach, hey, my boy can only run to the lap post and back. And it just was very, very hard. Thank goodness I got my second break around when I was 6 or 7. I got an operation on my foot to give me a little bit more spring in my step and give me a little bit more mobility. And I didn't test it out yet, but I remember switching schools around that same time. And my first day of PE, physical education, we did our stretches, and the teacher says, okay, now run a lap. And I'm thinking to myself, here we go again. These kids are going to find out that I can't run, and the teasing, the bullying's going to start again. But this time, because of my operation, when I started running, I ran past the point where I normally had to stop because of the pain in my foot. I kept going, and I'm thinking to myself, come on, Paul, keep going, buddy. Keep going. You got this, bud. You keep going. And I finished the lap with all the other kids. On the outside, I kept it real cool. But on the inside, I was like, yes, yes, yes. Finally, the first time in my life, I just fit in, and I didn't stand out like I did most other times in my life. I would say that things did get easier for me, but I wouldn't consider them easy. I remember switching schools again in junior high, and being a new kid in junior high with no disability is really, really tough. But having a disability and being in junior high is even tougher. I remember being bullied, teased pretty much every single day. It was just really, really tough for me. And I remember crying in my room, thinking to myself, why me? Why do I have to deal with it? And on top of that, I had to take an assessment to get into the high school I wanted to get into. And the principal tells my mom that, we'll accept him, but he's not college material. So all this is going on in my head. And I remember between my middle of my 8th grade, I was like, I'm sick of feeling like the victim. I was sick of feeling sad, sick of feeling angry. And I thought to myself, what could I do to distract myself so I didn't feel these feelings anymore? So I thought to myself, what if I focused in on a goal so that would distract me from all the outside noise that's going on in my life? So I thought to myself, well, what do I like to do? And at the time, I really loved baseball. So I made a goal to myself that I would make my varsity baseball team. So from then on, I played fall ball, winter ball, spring ball. And if I wasn't doing that, I was throwing a tennis ball against the wall. And I was doing that over and over and over again. And the great thing that happened when I changed my mindset about myself, the kids changed their mindset about me. Instead of bullying and teased me, they started rooting for me. And I'm happy to say I did make my varsity team as a junior and made it as a senior. And then after that, I entered into college and I graduated from college, which the principal thought that would never happen. With these new skills that I had, I used that going forward in my life. Graduating college, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. Like most 22, 23-year-old kids don't know what they want to do. They have no life experience. So I had a family friend that was in the mortgage industry. So I did that for many years, and I really, really enjoyed it until about 2008, 2009 hit, when the economy just changed totally. And they put these restrictions on us that just made the job a little bit harder for us. And I started to lose the luster of the job, because before that, I could really dial into the client and really listen to what they wanted. But now with all these restrictions, I stopped doing that, because, for instance, I have to say my mortgage license number, and we'd had secret shoppers that would randomly call us to check to see if we say our number. So instead of focusing on the client, I'm thinking to myself, oh, did I say my license number? Did I do this? Did I do that? And I just stopped, caring what the client wanted. And I was just thinking about myself, I don't want to get fired for not saying the wrong thing. So probably about 6 years ago, they brought this motivational speaker in to motivate our sales team. And the guy blew me away. The guy was so great. So I made a point after the presentation to talk with him and to thank him for the great presentation. And he was gracious, and I picked his brain on how he got into his line of work. And I thought to myself, coaching, huh? And I thought to myself, well, why don't I explore that? So I got my coaching certificate, and I started to put it out in the universe that I wanted to be a mindset coach. Made some financial changes, because obviously, when you start a business, you're not going to make money right away. You may lose money more than make money. So I paid off some debts, and did it part-time for a while. And I made the leap of faith and doing it full-time. And now I'm talking with you. I'm happy to be here.
Wow. That's amazing.
Thank you.
I find, recap on what you said, the things that you went through with, having that condition, the cerebral palsy, and, for the audacity for the doctors to say, I was not going to walk. And, kudos to your mother saying, no, I'm not going to agree with this. And you, not taking that for an answer, and, to push on and to find someone to help you through that. And I think it just shows you, how much, resilience and power that, you have, and that, how amazing that it is, that how amazing, that we can change our mindset and our perspective on things, and to not let things affect us. And, to go through school and, it's hard enough as it is normally. And to go through that, it must have been really difficult, and you push through that. And I just find it, really, really inspiring, and that you decided what to do with you decided what to do with your life, and not to be a victim of something.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a lot to thank my mom about that, because she was my voice. I mean, I was an infant. I couldn't say to the doctor, no, I'm going to walk. I relied solely on my mom to say, no, my boy's going to walk. I'm going to do whatever I can to allow him to walk. So I can't say anything more about my mom than she was. I mean, because, man, without her strength in this, it would have turned out much, much differently to me. And I think that we spoke a little bit beforehand about role models. She was my earliest role model. I mean, she always stated, let's not make excuses. So, when I told you I was playing soccer, football, you guys call it football, right?
Yeah, football,
yeah. As a young boy, and I didn't want to play. I mean, after, my first practice, showing that I can only run 25, 50 yards, I don't want to play with these kids. Yeah. And I told my mom, I'm like, I don't want to do this. This is ridiculous. And she's like, no, you made a commitment and you need to honor your commitment. You need to play the full season. If after the season you don't want to play anymore, that's your decision. But you signed up, and your commitment is your word, and you need to honor it. So that's kind of how my mindset's gone, through my life is, look at what you have, not what you don't have, and just focus in on that. I think it's just been my mantra that's been taught to my mom, and now I teach it to my clients is focus in on, the gratitude piece. Focus on what you have and what is good in your life, not focusing on the bad. And I think it's served me well, through my childhood to make my varsity baseball team and to go to college when, I had all these naysayers saying that wasn't the case for me. I don't know what they thought I was going to be able to do, but it didn't seem like they had high hopes for me. So thank goodness my mom had high hopes for me.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think like it's so important, to have those role models and to have that, to have that parent figure to be there for you in those times. Especially when you feel like, that you're being judged by the rest of the world, and you see people, running, and like you said, it's so easy to compare yourself to what other people are doing, and the norms of like how other people are acting. And yeah, it's like totally I agree with what you said in terms of like, looking at what you do have opposed to what you don't, because I think like I think people can be like negative a lot easier than be positive sometimes. They can feel, I don't have that, or why don't I have that, and then it just spirals. So like you said, to have that gratitude, to be able to just take a step back from the situation, it's quite a powerful shift, isn't it, to do that? And like you said.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what I do now, and I think I did it as a kid differently, but now I'm more intentional about it. And I tell my clients about it is when I wake up each morning, before I reach my phone to check my emails or social media or turn on the TV or radio, whatever, I take a few minutes just to think about the things that are going well in my life. And I take just a few minutes. I don't take too long. Just focus in on that before I get out of bed. And it just starts my day off on the right foot. It starts to me to focus in on the positive things that can go right in your day. Like, for instance, I got a coupon today that I got a free coffee. Oh, that's good, right? It's a good start. It's just going to keep climbing and climbing and climbing. And I start pointing out all the positive things in my day. Because you can do the opposite, right, with the negative, right? For instance, let's say you wake up and you're driving to work and you get a flat tire, right? Just my luck. This always happens to me. I always have bad luck. I'm sure I would get a flat tire. I always have bad luck. Negative things always happen to me. Yeah, negative things always happen to you because you're looking for those negative things. If you're looking for the positive, you'll see all the positive things that are going on in your day. And if you do that, you're going to have way more positive days than negative days. Now, I'm not naive to think that there's going to be days in your life that are just going to wreck you, that are going to be very, very hard. And I'm not telling you, to put on a brave face when you're sad or angry. You're a human being and you're entitled to emotion. So if you're sad and angry, you're entitled to feel those feelings. And I don't tell anybody to ball them up. But after a while that you feel the sadness and anger, there's going to be a time you're going to say to yourself, you know what? I don't want to be sad anymore. I don't want to be angry anymore. And that's the awareness piece. Now that you're aware that you don't want to feel that way anymore, that's when you bring back into the gratitude. Start thinking about, okay, all this bad things has happened to me. Well, what is good right now? What am I going through that is good? And you start focusing in on that. And just by doing that, that will help you change your mood back to where you want it to be. But it's intentional. And it sounds simple, but it's not. You really have to be intentional about it every single day.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And I think and especially how you start your day, isn't it, is a massive impact. Like, you're thinking positive and you're doing, those set an example for those like good routines in the morning. That kind of like has a ripple effect throughout your day. It's like, and it's like if you stub your toe and you're like, oh, and then something else might happen, and then like you said, what you choose to focus on, you'll attract it. And it's like how you respond to those things happening, isn't it?
That is absolutely right. It's all about your attitude. You know, we can. That's the only thing we can control is our attitude. So you can have a good attitude, and you can have a bad attitude. It's your choice. It's your life. You can do whatever you want to do. But when you do some studies and you focus on people that are happy, the main reason why they're happy, it's not because of the car they drive or the house they live in or how much money they have. I mean, obviously some of that might play into things, but overall, the people that are most happy are the people that choose to be happy, meaning they're intentional about their thoughts. And when you have negative thoughts, because we're all human beings, we're all going to have negative thoughts. That's just the way it's going to be. You can say to yourself, "Oh no, Paul, I'm not going there." So you don't start spiraling. You start to realize, okay, I'm going negative. Okay, what can I think about that's going to change that? And be, like I said, intentional about it. Because I think that's huge, because we're all going to feel these feelings. We're all human beings. Nothing's going to be perfect. We have to really focus in on what we really want. And, I feel that for me, I want it to be happiness.
I think that's something that's definitely been highlighted, I find, throughout this whole COVID situation. I know quite a number of people, and I've seen it in some people, that they've left their previous job. They've created something in this time, like on the side, and they're pursuing that and wanting to do that more so than the job that they were doing. Like I know chefs who've left chefing and they've gone to do something else.
Are you there? Hello? Are you there?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, you paused again. Hello?
You hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, my phone, sorry, it connected to Wi-Fi for some reason. I'm outside. That's why these Android phones, I can't wait to have an iPhone again. So, yeah, I was saying that people are, they're finding their thing that makes them happy in this whole COVID situation. I think during the lockdown, people have reached a point where, they've got these things, they're doing a job, and they don't really like that job. And their awareness is kind of turned inward, and they've been really looking at their lives and making changes. I know it's happening. I was listening to Joey Diaz's podcast, and he was saying that people are, leaving LA because they're not happy, because of, the taxes and the whole situation. People are thinking a lot more. People are choosing happiness over,
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that you say LA, because I'm in the outskirts of LA, so I know LA really, really well. So I get what you're saying about that, and it's a beautiful thing what you talked about with what you're talking about COVID and that mindset, right? We can have that mindset going, okay, this COVID thing is going to wreck us, and we can choose to hide under our pillow, because it's very tough, because it is hard. It's very hard. People are sick. People are losing jobs. It's not an easy thing. But the entrepreneurship that's coming out of it's just a beautiful thing, that there's things that are going to come out of this that we never thought of, that there's people going, okay, what can I do to help this situation? And that it goes back to that growth mindset. You talked about, chefs that are looking to do other work, because definitely restaurants are taking a big hit. But maybe these people that were chefs, maybe they really didn't want to be a chef. Maybe they had some other passion they wanted to do, and hopefully now they're pursuing that passion because they have to, right? They're forced in the situation where they're laid off from work because the people aren't coming into the restaurants anymore because of COVID. And now they have this opportunity to really pursue what they really want to do. And without, COVID, they may never have done it. So even though that there's this horrible disaster that's going on in the world, there can be some beautiful things that come out of it. And it's all about your attitude, your mindset to push that forward.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. And I think like it's making that choice, isn't it, to focus on the things that you can control and the things that you can't as well. Because people like, you can't control, the COVID situation is just happening. And it's like, looking at, what you can control, isn't it? Like, you can't go out and spend money on the things that you probably used to like spending money on. What else can you do? I think it's, being a really big wake-up call.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I think that you're going to see this renaissance. Like, I mean, with Amazon was already big before this, obviously, and they're just expanding now, just because they're built for this model, this COVID model, and you're going to see a lot of people, business owners, changing the way they do business because of that. I mean, you see it now. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you see this, Adam, where you're at, where the strip malls, before COVID, were kind of going under because most people were using online services as opposed to actually going to a bookstore or a clothing store or whatever, because the fact that with clothing, there's free take back. So I have nothing to lose if something doesn't look right or anything. Like, I just send it back for free, and it's so convenient. It's just sent right to the home, and this is just kind of, with the COVID, this is just kind of fast forward things and a faster pace. So you're having all these people coming in and just inventing different stuff that's just going to make our lives better.
Yeah.
Going forward, and I would like to tell people, especially, the older generations, about technology. I know that there's a lot of fear about technology, about, maybe taking jobs and stuff like that. But if you look throughout history, anytime a new technology piece has been brought into the workforce, it's created more jobs than lost. Yeah, there's going to be jobs that are going to be eliminated, but there's so many other jobs that are going to be created because of the technology piece. You mentioned it with the iPhone and the Android. There has been so many, and that happened in 2007. There's so many jobs that have been created because of that invention of the smartphone. And it keeps growing. I mean, you look at, they're talking about 5G technology, with automated cars, and how that might scare people and stuff like that. But look how cool 4G was. I mean, without 4G, there wouldn't be Uber and all these other apps, for delivery, because 3G didn't have the capability that 4G does. That opened up all these other jobs for us because of that. And 5G will be the same thing. It's going to open up another realm of opportunity for people. So, and I get it, people are fearful of what they don't know, and that's just human nature. But I would just say, embrace it and go head first into the technology piece, because it's going to be a good thing.
Yeah, no, I completely resonate with what you said. And I find that, people do fear the unknown. And that was just like with the whole COVID, like people were worrying and panicking about it. And then people get used to these routines of, like, not going out to pubs or restaurants and things like that. And then now it's the unknown, because they're opened up and we're like, oh, should we? It's the unknown, this is new. And with technology as well, like it's always, rapidly moving at such a fast pace, especially with, like, this, like Zoom and video calling, and what's the next thing going to be? Like, they say it might be voice, because you can talk to your phone, and it's a lot quicker than having to find the button to press and all the rest of it. And having AI, AI technologies built into devices, I think it's really great, and it does open up a lot of opportunities for people, like you said, apps and phones. It's exciting to see where it's going to go.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely right. I think it's going to be an amazing journey for all of us, and that's the piece that we just have to just embrace. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's going to be some security things that we'll need to develop, but that might be jobs, right? That might be
Mm,
jobs that open up computer security. I mean, it's already huge, and all that's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger because that's going to get more and more important as the technology piece
mm,
grows,
mm,
and people want to protect their privacy. So I think more jobs will open up as a result of that, which is a beautiful thing. More opportunity for people, and I think you're going to see more and more entrepreneurship. I think there's going to be opportunities for people to start businesses outside of corporations, which is a great thing. There's a lot of work when you're an entrepreneur, and it's kind of a 24-hour thing. I mean, you're constantly thinking about how you can improve things, and paying the bills,
mm,
and all that piece. But it's a beautiful thing because a lot of times when you're in a corporate situation, when you have a lot of different people at the top, and the message trickles down to you at the lower level, a lot of the times you're like, this doesn't even make sense. This is not common sense. You know what I mean? Because there's so many people at the top making these decisions, and it's been years and years since they've been at that level. So they really kind of lost their touch about what, that low level,
mm.
low level management, or I don't want to say low level, but
And the
towards,
hierarchy.
yeah, the hierarchy. They don't understand, the at the front line, so to speak, and what they're dealing
Yeah.
with customers and stuff like that, and they're implementing things that don't make sense because they're kind of out of touch with things that are going on. And if you're doing entrepreneurship, and you have just a few different people that you're working with, you have so much more control, and you can keep it so much more lean, and you can use more of that common sense because there's not so many people making decisions. It's you and maybe a couple other people, and how refreshing that is. I mean,
Mm,
I know that not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, and likes that lifestyle, because it's not easy. I mean, people look at people like Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and think, oh man, it's this lifestyle of the rich and famous. It is not. Most entrepreneurs, a lot of time they're living from month to month just because they're just trying to make it.
mm,
And again, it goes back to your mindset and attitude. You could look at that going, oh crap, this is tough. I don't want to do this. Or you can look at it and going, something good is about to happen. Something good is about to come around the corner. I don't want to give up, because if I keep going, something good is going to happen to me. And that for me, that's what gets me going, is I have that mindset, like something good is about to happen. Just keep doing it, keep getting on your social media, keep marketing, keep reaching out to people like yourself, and go on podcasts and marketing, and having your voice go to different areas that normally wouldn't hear me. It's just constantly doing the little things that just add up to the big things.
mm. Yeah, no, that's a really, really good point. And I I completely agree with you. And I think like it's it's that road less traveled, isn't it? The entrepreneurship side of things, and starting off in the unknown, in the trenches, and you look at everyone sees like that tip of the iceberg of that successful person. They don't see the unsuccessful years and the failures and the backstory. People just see the person for who they are and what they where they are today. And like you said, Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates, and I look up to like Gary Vaynerchuk, and you see what he's become, and where he started out, and he said he was like spending 7 hours on Twitter, tweeting and connecting, and if you said that to somebody, like you're going to spend 7 hours on LinkedIn or Twitter, most people would be like, well, no. But it's like you said, at the time when you're doing it, you have to kind of trust that process and learn that. I think kind of that it is a process, and like you said, to know that it's going to work out, and it's that excitement, isn't it? Like you said, that something's going, something's going to happen. That keeps you kind of pushing, moving forward.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned Gary Vee, because I resonate a lot with Gary Vee on his message. I mean, it's pretty repetitive, so I don't listen to everything that he puts out, because he puts out a lot,
Mm,
and it's very repetitive. But his message is so clear cut, and I think that's why he has a lot of viewership. And it's all about, for him. I'm gonna talk, in my own words. He may say it differently, but it's about self-love, you know what I mean, and finding your own passion. I mean, he has his passions. He does the sports cards, but a lot of people maybe not want to do sports cards, but that's what he likes to do. And he talks
mm,
about, he likes the grind, but I mean, not everybody wants to do the grind that way. A lot of people
mm,
may want to only work, 25, 30 hours a week, and then do other things. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's all about finding your niche, your happiness. For me, I like to put in a lot of hours, just because I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about helping people. But I mean, if I've had jobs in the past where, dude, I wanted to spend 1 hour doing it because I didn't like it. You know what I mean? So it's all about finding your passion. If you find something that you really truly want to do, it doesn't feel like work anymore. You want to do it. You wake up in the morning and you're excited to do it. Now, not every aspect of my day is great. I mean, I spend most of my day kind of by myself, and like you said, it's kind of, you said, a lonely path. It's definitely a lonely path, because I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook constantly, and then, reaching out to people to do podcasts, and reaching out to people to see if I can help them, and growing my brand, and helping and then setting up appointments with my clients and stuff like that. It's a lot of stuff by myself, and I am a social person. So sometimes that is tough. And when I feel that way, that's when I take a break. I'll call a friend. We'll go do a bike ride, or do run, or I
whatever,
can't.
yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I can't go to a pub too much, now, but which is a good thing, right? Saving money, and not drinking, as much, because that's actually a really, really, really big thing. I'm not a huge drinker, but I will tell you this, for me, and maybe it's just me getting older. I'm 39. Um, I can tell you, when I have two drinks, and wake up the next day, I'm cool. I'm ready to start. I can start my day, and I'm good. But I can tell my mindset is not as sharp as if I didn't drink. You know what I mean? Like, I have a lot more negative thoughts in my head if I have a couple drinks the night before. I still can run through my day. I'm still good, but I notice it's harder for me to go positive when I have a couple drinks, because I'm not sharp. I'm kind of irritated. So that I have to be conscious of that, especially being a mindset coach. Obviously, you have to be on. So I don't want to do things that are going to prevent me from doing that. And I've noticed that about myself, that if I do, have a drink or two with a friend, the next day my mindset is not as strong. I don't know if you experience that. I know, Adam, you're much younger than me, but it's definitely something I think about.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think, like, I mean, I'm 26, and I drank a lot when I was a teenager, like 18, 19, 20. I would always go out with friends and go nightclubbing and all the rest of it. Whereas now, I like to drink, but I don't smash it, like I used to when I was a teenager. I have a couple of beers in the week, but I notice that I don't drink as much as I used to. So when I do drink it, I feel it the next day. And if I have podcasts the next day, sometimes, in the morning, or the things I have to do, like I said, I do realize it does affect me. Like, I had a glass of wine last night. I don't usually drink wine. And I felt a little bit rough this morning. It took me probably an extra hour just to come around. Um, but I think, like you said, when you're in that field of coaching and providing almost like a service or value, you kind of need to be on your game in some sense, because you might not think it has an effect, but things do catch up with you, especially if you're not sleeping too well, or you go to bed late and then you have a couple of drinks, or you eat something that like, chocolate or something. That's my thing. it does kind of have a knock-on effect. And I think like it's that balance, trying to have that balance, isn't it? And you kind of have to practice what you preach, because I talk about people just doing stuff and, you know, working out, and I'm like, well, I need to do that, because I need to do that more. I can't just say it. You have to kind of follow up what you're saying or preaching, don't you?
Yeah, I like what you said there about balance. I mean, I think that it's important that you have balance in your life. So, I'm not saying that, anybody's a bad person if they like to consume alcohol, because I like to consume alcohol as well. And you want to have a good time with your friends and your family and everything like that. But I think it's all in moderation. And just think about, what you're doing, be intentional about it. Like if I'm drinking with my friends and stuff like that, what am I what's going on the next day? I mean, do I have a presentation to do? Am I doing some podcasts? Am I doing my own podcast? Do I have clients that I need to talk to? I mean, because, the thing that you want to, be as, in any profession that you do is you want to be present, in what you're doing. And if you're doing things that are preventing you from being present because you're, focusing on what you did last night, or you're just not feeling it, you're not being present with what you're doing because you're not 100%. So it's just, I just tell the person, it's just, it's your choice on what you want to do. And I'm not telling you not to have fun, because, life, you should have fun. I mean, whatever you enjoy doing, you should partake in that. But just remember, whatever that is that you like to do, that could have consequences, going forward. So, I just feel like I think the best thing to do is be present with that, and think about it. Okay, I'm going to have a drink with my friend, but then set it up where, okay, you know what, I got a good big presentation tomorrow. So you know what, 2 drinks is it, because then you get caught up with your friends and everything like that. You get caught up for watching a good sports event or whatever, or in a good conversation. You're like, oh, another one, and you get caught up in the good times. But sometimes you got to just take a step back and go, okay, well, I'm having a great time. This is awesome. But, if I do this, what's going to happen to me tomorrow? And, and that could be not just with drinking, which with anything that you do.
Yeah. No, that's definitely, isn't it? It's looking ahead to, like, the next day or the next week and seeing what you got on. I mean, I remember when, oh my gosh, I think I was 18, and I remember going out with friends on a Saturday night, and I had a driving lesson on a Sunday, and I think I was still hungover, and I was still and the driving instructor looked at me and he was like, I can't take you to your lesson. But, I was 18 and I was kind of a different mindset back then. And yeah, it's so important, especially like you said, if you're representing, yourself, a company, the list goes on, doesn't it? Because I've worked in hospitality for many years, and it's like, if you could get a customer who comes in to the restaurant or the hotel, and they see someone who looks, they're tired, or they can't be bothered in their job because they went out the night before. It just sets a bad image on the place and that person. And it's being very, very careful with that, isn't it? Especially with social media and the way of the world now.
Oh yeah, no question about it. Yourself is your brand, and you can miss out on helping people. I go to a coffee shop, and it's kind of outside my way, and it's a little bit more expensive. Why? Because Rebecca is always spot on, and her customer service is great, and I'm excited, to talk with her. We have a good banter, and she has a good banter with pretty much everybody. And she helps me start a great day, so I always go to Rebecca because it makes me feel good. So,
Yeah.
And that could be in your own life, right? You could help somebody else out just by smiling at somebody. I do that. I try to do that all the time. It's hard now because, we're mandated to wear a mask. But, before that, if I saw somebody, and I made eye contact with them, I try to smile at them, and maybe, in some weird way, maybe that will help them. You know what I mean? Maybe maybe, you know, they're thinking to themselves that nobody's watching for me. I'm lonely. Nobody cares about me. And if I make eye contact with somebody and I smile, maybe that might change their mindset, you know, just for that moment. They make them feel good that, you know, oh, somebody does care, you know, and so if you're, you know, if you're not feeling up to par or whatever you're doing, you know, you're not intentional about doing things like that. So I always make a point with that, you know, to make eye contact, not creepy, you know, but if somebody's walking my way and I'll make eye contact and they make eye contact, I make sure I smile, wave, or acknowledge them, because I just think it's important. I feel like as human beings, we want to be noticed. You know, and I'm not getting into anybody's business. I just say, hey, how are you? This and that, and keep on walking. I'm not like I, you know, make a long conversation unless they, you know, unless they're in a situation where they want to, and I have time to do, then yeah, maybe I'll stop and chit chat a bit. But just that smiling at somebody, you know, is huge, because that happened to me. I remember, you know, especially in my younger years, you know, going through school and stuff and just feeling alone. I remember, you know, walking to the bus, having a rough day at school, and I remember this woman just had this radiant smile and, hey, how are you? This and that, and just for that moment, you know, I felt so good, and I've always remembered that, you know, how good I felt when that woman just took a moment just to smile and acknowledge me. I didn't know who she was, and I never seen her again, but I always remember, you know, that she was very intentional on making eye contact with me and smiling and said, oh, well, I hope you have a good rest of your day, this and that. And I thought, well, that's not great, you know, that I'm a total stranger, and she went out of her way, you know, to you know, try to make me feel good. I think she could see and sense that I wasn't having a good day. So I thought, wow, that was great. And I thought, well, why don't I pass that along to other people? So, you know, that's kind of been my mantra after that. It's just, you know, smiling at people and trying to lift people up.
Yeah, no, completely. And like you said, it's so powerful, you know, just by smiling to someone, what an impact that can have on their life and their day. And I think, like, that's so important, because we know we're all social beings and we all kind of want to be noticed, like you said. And especially if you've had so much going on in your life or in your day or week, you're almost looking for that. You're almost wanting that acknowledgement to be that, you know, that positivity, because you know, and then that will change your day and your emotional state, and then it's almost contagious, isn't it? You then want to do that to someone else.
Oh, that's absolutely right. It is contagious, and then that's exactly what happened to me. It was very, very contagious. And I want to point out, though, if people are sad and depressed and everything like that, in which a lot of people maybe are because of the COVID-19, it's not a weakness to ask for help. It's a strength. And don't feel that don't feel bad that you're asking for help. Please don't. And don't be ashamed of what you're thinking inside your head, because there's a lot of people probably thinking the same things that you're thinking, and you think you're abnormal for thinking that. You're not. You know, those thoughts go through a lot of people's heads, and I think that, you know, asking for help, asking for somebody to help you through things is a beautiful thing, and we need to remember that you know, and everybody needs help from time to time. You know, don't be the strong person where you feel like you can handle everything on your own. I mean, it's great, you know, that you can be self-sufficient and everything like that, and be able to do things on your own. But there's times where, you know, you need a shoulder to lean on, and it's okay to do that. And hopefully you have friends and family that you can do that with. If not, seek a counselor, seek a coach, and get that, because it's extremely important not to suffer in silence, and get help if you need help.
Yeah, no, I think that's a massive thing, isn't it? Especially, like, you know, with mental health and how people are feeling, especially throughout this period, is that, you know, like, be honest with yourself, because it's more harmful to not be honest with how you're feeling in yourself, because, you know, like, I suffered with PTSD and anxiety and depression in the past, and I remember when some days I'd feel anxious and I wasn't okay, and things can go on, and then you don't share that because you're just trying to be strong. Whether that's sometimes like a male thing, like get on with it, I'll keep going, and it's so important, like you said, to reach out to people, because there's going to be people out there who feel exactly the same that you do, as you said, and then that will give the confidence probably to that person to then reach out and then do the same. That's what I like to think.
Yeah, because I think we're a little bit in a different generation, so I'd like to get your feedback on this. When I was growing up as a boy, we were trained with the mindset of, you fall, this and that, rub dirt on it, men don't cry, you keep moving forward. But I do see a kind of a change a little bit in the new generation, which I think is a beautiful thing. I mean, everybody bags on the younger generation, but I one of the things that I think is beautiful about the younger generation coming up is I feel like they're more in touch with their emotions and not afraid to show their emotions as past generations. Now, Adam, you can talk more to that than I can, because you are the newer generation. Do you feel that to be true, or do you still think that there's still that stereotype for boys that are just like, rub dirt on it, keep moving forward, we don't cry, bite down on a bullet, let's go?
Yeah. I think there's that, like, sort of, there's that contrast of the two. I think people nowadays are more open to sharing how they feel. I think especially if they don't say it in person, they're more likely to put it on social media. I think that's a really massive thing. Like, everyone deals with everything in their own way, but I find, like, my generation definitely plaster it on social media how they feel, and sometimes I think that can be a good thing or that can be a bad thing, depending on sometimes probably what platform you put on, how you put it out there. Because I think with social media, it can come across a certain way where people might think, oh, that person's being the victim, but they might just wanting that, they're reaching out and they're wanting that attention. They're seeking for help. It's like a cry for help sometimes, I find. And then there is that side. I mean, I've worked with people who have hated the job they're doing, and they don't talk about it. They just get on with it, do it. And they're feeling like absolute SHIT inside. So I think, like, there is that 50-50.
Yeah, and you mentioned social media, and I think that's extremely important. For my business, I'm constantly on social media, but I'm real focused in on really what I'm trying to do. But it's very tough, especially Facebook, more than anything else. It can be very, very divisive. All of them can be, but I think of Facebook and Twitter especially, can be very, very divisive, with people, sharing their views and sharing things, arguing with people that they wouldn't argue with if they saw them face to face. They're saying these things to each other that, may be very unkind, about their political views or religious views or whatever they're arguing about. And so I tell people a lot of times is to limit the amount of time that you spend on these social medias, unless you're doing it for work and you're promoting your brand, and that's a different thing. But if you're just doing it for leisure purposes, I would tell you strongly to limit the amount of time that you're looking at that stuff, because a lot of it is negative and can bring you down. A lot of it, and when you engage in these conversations, it can really drain you. And I do want to say this. It seems like a lot of times in Twitter especially, Facebook, Instagram, and such, that you look at this and you feel like people are so far apart in their political views, their religious views, and this and that. But I think that's just on the social media. When I talk to people, I have a conversation with people face to face or over the phone or what have you, and we talk about different issues. A lot of people, there is a lot of common ground that we have that doesn't show up a lot on the social media and stuff. That we are more alike than we are against each other, and I think it has to. And I think what we need to do more is be open-minded to where people come from, where they grew up, where their cultures come from, because a lot of times that paves how they feel about their political views and their religious views is where they grew up, their culture, and this and that. And I think that's important to embrace, because then you can kind of understand the person more and on why they feel the way they do, is because you know how they were brought up. And if you have a little bit more understanding, I think it is huge, and being open minded to a different way of thinking, because I think I think that's great. I think that we should be exposed to a different way of thinking, and having a civil conversation about it, and really listening in to what the other person's saying, and not interrupt them. Let them say their piece and what they believe in, and have empathy in what they're believing in, and hopefully by you doing that, when it's your turn to speak and when your viewpoint, that they can show you the same courtesy and be open-minded and have empathy in where you came from. And if we do that, I think the world will be a better place.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I think, like you said, with like social media and Twitter, and, everyone's got their own opinion, and people are from different backgrounds. And I think, like you said, some people can kind of get probably rooted in their ways and their opinions, and probably based on culture or where they're from or what they've taken from their surroundings, which have made up their belief system. I think like when you go on Twitter, like it can be a bit of a minefield sometimes. I've seen like a lot of negativity on posts, and it's like, especially, I'm not going into politics, but especially politics, and I'm like, oh my god, like I'm not even going to comment on this because it would just, it's like putting TNT in somewhere. Yep. And you see people doing it. And I'm like, I'm not wasting my time getting involved in, anything anymore like that. But yeah, I think if you're open to other people's views and where they come from, especially like, through podcasting, listening to other people's experiences and who they are, you learn so much. And I think you grow as a person. I think that's one of the benefits through social media. You can share your opinion, talk about what you want to talk about, and then it's up to you what you want to do with that.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that, and that's the thing is just having that open dialogue and really you're listening to the other person talk, and you mentioned it. When you go on social media, and if you didn't agree with the political thing that somebody says, and then you start firing away at what they're saying, it's not out of love, it's out of hate. So they're not listening to what you have to say, and you're just trying to one up each other until somebody's just tired of talking, or posting. And what does it solve in the end? You still feel the way you do, that person feels the way they do, and you're unhappy, you're angry at what they said, and they're angry at what you said, and nothing was accomplished. Nothing was accomplished at all. So what was the point in doing that in the first place, in engaging in that conversation? So I would just caution people, obviously, if you feel strongly about something and you want your voice heard, and you felt like that person is not being fair and stuff like that, go ahead and engage if you want to. But just bear in mind, when you do these type of things, a lot of times there's no resolution that happens. It's just, they're still feeling the same thing they do. And it just goes on and on and on.
It can have so many repercussions, because I've seen cases where people have lost their jobs. People have lost their jobs because they put something on social media and it's there and it's visible. And, the employer's gone, no, thanks, bye. So people sometimes, I think, like you said, they react. People react, and then they go, and they go on social media. And then they're like, afterwards, when they cool down, they're like, what have I done? And then it's too late. I was going to ask you, like, do you have any favorite books at all?
One of my favorite books, and I've actually read it twice. It's called Grit by Angela Duckworth. And basically it talks about, success in the sense that, you don't have to be the smartest person in the room or the most athletic or this and that. It's all about the grit of it, consistency, going after it over and over again, showing up early, doing what you're supposed to be doing over and over again, and not getting discouraged when things don't go your way, having that growth mindset to overcome the barriers. And it's very hard, to see who has the grit and who doesn't. She did a study with, cadets at West Point, and the people who had the grit weren't necessarily the smartest or the most athletic. There was another intangible that's hard to be measured, and she's trying to come up with that formula to find who has that grit, that internal heart to keep going forward when things aren't going well. And that resonates to me because I feel like that's a quality that I have possessed with what's gone through in my life. And having these barriers and not putting my head in the pillows and finding a way to get through it. So it resonates with me. So, I love those type of books. I just read another book called In Your Head, and the author goes by one named Russ. Same type of thing. It's that belief in yourself. You know what I mean? It's all in your mind. You can accomplish so much. There's so much ability inside each human being, and we just got to find our passion on whatever that is, and to show the world whatever that is. Talking about passions, don't get discouraged if you don't know what your passion is. There's people in their 70s and 80s that don't know what their passions are, but you know what? They're happy because they're trying to still discover whatever that passion is. And on top of that, we constantly have to reinvent ourselves because, our interests and our likes in our 20s are different when they're in their 30s and our 40s and 50s. So you constantly have to evolve on what your new passions are. You know what I mean? Like me being a mindset coach, there's no way I would have had the capability to do that in my 20s. I just didn't have enough life experience, in me. I mean, yeah, I had my story of my childhood, but I now have more life experience in other realms, in financial and business and running your own business and doing sales and marketing and being in relationships with different people. And so I have a lot more to offer. And I'm thankful I found my passion, and this may be my passion for the rest of my life. I hope it is, but if it's not, I will then rediscover myself and find my next passion. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think that's a really good point you made, that you're open to like the fact that if something new comes along, then okay, so be it. Let's move on to that. And I think some people are so fixated on that one thing, and when it doesn't work out, they don't know what to do, and it just spirals. And I always think that you should follow your passion and just, like I said, try things out and find out what it is. Because I saw that, like, people sometimes, I've been thinking about this a lot, and people sometimes think about their age and that they haven't got time. And I was looking at a link yesterday, and it said like Colonel Sanders founded KFC when he was like 65 or 75, something like that. And you think, oh, what? There's no excuse in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you just got to continue to find whatever that passion is. I mean, and it could be simple things like, some people, it could just be, I want to be a great dad. I want to be a great example to my kids, or a great mom. I want to be a great example to my kids and raise them as best I can. And that's their passion. And that's a great passion. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. Or it could be, like I said, I want to just make people smile. It doesn't have to necessarily be, I want to go to Mars, or I want to be a CEO. I mean, and those are great goals. If that's the goal you want to have and you have a passion for it, give me a call. I'll help you. Let's get to work. But that's not for everybody. And you don't have to be ashamed if it's something, simple as being a great mom, or being a great dad, or making people smile, or travel the world, or whatever that may be. It's all about internal happiness. And if that makes you happy doing those things, then you're successful. It's not about money. It's about how you feel inside that really, really counts.
Yeah. No, that's powerful. That's powerful. And I think, like you said, that's what hits home, isn't it? That's how you feel inside that counts, and not comparing yourself to what Billy has next door or what your friend has, and the way that kind of the world kind of operates in some way, that people are always chasing the next thing and they want to be doing something because they want to feel like they're included in society. Yeah, you got to find what, like I said, how you feel inside. Another question as well, like how, just to like round up, like what would you say to people who that might have a condition, or they feel like they have something that's holding them back, or something that's difficult from, you know, achieving in life? Like what advice would you say? Because like you've been through it, where you.
Well, I feel like the competition is not with anybody else; it's with yourself, and I feel like you just need to be the best person you can be, and whatever that is. And if you know people are dealing with a rough time, maybe because of job loss, or they have a disability, or a bad breakup, divorce, whatever it is, it is, you know, goes back to the gratitude piece. It goes back to, okay, yeah, all this stuff is going wrong in my life, but what's going right? And it could be, you know, my health. I have good health. You know, I have a great kids, or a good spouse, or a good girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is. Good sense of humor, good friends, whatever that positive thing is, and focus in on that. And then if you come across a barrier, which we all do, in our lives, we all come up across a barrier. Sometimes just take a minute and just to take some time to think about what you can do to get over it. I mean, a lot of times if it happens right in front of you real quick, we have a tendency to be frustrated and want to give up, because it shocks us, right? It was a surprise. We weren't expecting this. But if you're not in danger at that point in time, whatever it is, let's say it wasn't, you know, something that you were in immediate danger, take a moment to think about what you can do to get over it. And if it's a passion that you really are going after, that you truly want, then that's going to help you go get over that barrier, because you're not going to want to give up, because whatever it is, that goal is something that you truly want. And I think that's why it's so important to find your passion, because if you find something that you really truly want to do in life, you know, you're gonna go through these barriers, but you'll find a way, because you know that reward of that passion is so great. If it's not really your passion, like let's just say you want to be a CEO of a company, you say that you want to be a CEO of a company, but that's really not your passion. You're going to hit a roadblock and go, you know, forget it. This is too hard. This is not what I want to do, because it wasn't your passion. I mean, there's some people that want to be a CEO that really truly is their passion, and a roadblock's not going to stop them. They're going to reinvent themselves, and they're going to get to where they want to go, because that's what they really want. They want to be a CEO. And that's just for people that want to be a CEO. And if that wasn't for you, that's okay. That's so cool. You know, you tried it. That's what you thought you wanted to do. Okay. Well, that really wasn't your passion. Okay. No worries. Let's find something else you want to do. And I think that's truly important.
Yeah. No, I think it's really motivational what you said. And it's really like, it's true, isn't it? It's definitely, you know, finding that path and what works for you, isn't it? And yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the name of the game, and just continually to just reinvent yourself, and you know, finding out that passion. And if your passion changed, that you don't feel that passion anymore, all good. Let's just reinvent ourselves. Find another thing that you like to do. The thing is, it's more about, it's not really about the destination, it's about the journey, because there's so many people that are quote unquote successful people, and they look back 10 years of their life and they're like, whoa, where'd it go? Well, because they blow-dozed it. You know what I mean? They were so focused in on that one goal that they had, they really didn't enjoy the journey, the process of getting there. And as a result, they felt like, you know, oh geez, you know, what's next? And I think that has to do with a lot of people that go through, you know, these midlife crisis, is because I feel like they're in these situations where they're just so focused in on that one goal, and they really never enjoyed, that process of getting there, and they look back and go, oh man, you know what? I got to live now. I got to have fun. I didn't have fun. I was so focused on this goal, raising a family, doing X, Y, and Z. I really didn't step back and enjoy my family and enjoy the road to get where I went. And then they think, oh man, time's running out. I better do something fun. But if they constantly enjoyed what they were doing the whole time, I feel like they wouldn't have that feeling as much. We're all humans, and I'm sure it still come up from time to time. But I think if you really focus in and enjoying the journey of your life, you're light years ahead.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's massive, isn't it? And I think like that's key. And I think like, especially with this situation that's happened in the world, I think we definitely kind of slowed down that a little bit. And I like to think, really being a bit more mindful, and a bit more in the moment, because I think like with things moving up so fast around us and society and things like that, you can kind of get lost in the traffic almost. And it's just like you said, just slowing down and appreciating that moment and trying to enjoy the process. Because I think I used to be like it, and I learned. I mean, I don't know about you with podcasting, but through podcasting, I've learned to be more patient. And I like to hit the ground running. I like to be confident and great at, things I do. And it just doesn't work like that. And I've learned that through podcasting, that it's a process and patience and, things like that.
Yeah, you triggered a saying that I like to tell people. It's being comfortable with that being uncomfortable. And I think that's huge. You mentioned about, wanting to be confident and wanting to go, be patient, this and that. And sometimes it's taking yourself out of that comfort zone and trying new things to grow and being vulnerable, because I feel vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. It's hard to be vulnerable. It's hard to show weakness. And I think that's a strength. And I think that when I started realizing that vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness, I think I started going in the path of where I needed to go. So, I think that's huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, massively. But where can people find you on social media and your website and things?
Absolutely, thank you. The easiest way to get to reach me is through my website, a call to action.coach, and my cell phone's on there, so you can do it, book appointment through my website, or you can just give me a call and we can book appointment that way. And then you can check out my content on Facebook, a call to action, or you can also, I'm on YouTube as well at Paul, and my last name is F as in Frank, Orchione, and you can see my videos. And then obviously you guys like podcasts. I also do a podcast called Actions and Limits, and basically we just interview people, and we want to show people that if you have desire, you have belief, sky is the limits. And that's the theme of our podcast, Actions and Limits.
That's awesome. Are you on Instagram as well?
I'm on Instagram as well, and it's a call and the number 2 action 80. And again, I share video content and different various things on Instagram as well. LinkedIn as well. That's where you and I got in touch there, Adam. So do that there too. And not so much big. I do Twitter, but I don't really post too much on Twitter. Mostly, I'm just kind of looking at things. But so those are the things I do. So thank you. No, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast, Paul, and I'm really grateful and humbled to connect with you, and I really appreciate your time, and I think like it's really motivating what you've been through and what you're doing. I think you're doing really really great work, and I'm really humbled to connect with you. Thanks, Adam, and I appreciate the platform to talk with you on your podcast. Appreciate the time.
No, you're very welcome. But no, have a great day where you are.
Thank you very much. You too.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.